If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. If you can hear me, clap 3 times. All right, class. So good afternoon. My name is Miss Alvarado. Today we'll be learning subtracting base 10 blocks. So in order to know that, we have to go ahead and know vocabulary about it. So one thing would be subtraction, which is a process of taking away from one another. Another thing would be base 10 blocks. So it's math manipulatives, which can teach addition, subtraction, and place value, which you'll see in the right corner. So one little square is 1 unit. 10 squares altogether is 1 rod. And then there's 100 squares, which is 1 flat. So that's one thing that we'll be using within this lesson. So another thing is our place value chart. So what's really important is the place value chart and making sure that the numbers are in each place value, making sure that will help out in your actual process in getting your answer. So if a place value is not in the right place, then it's not going to give us the right answer, correct? All right, so place value just goes ahead and positions numbers in the location of the place value. So for instance, if we had, let's just start right here, 541, it's going to go ahead and be hundreds, tens, and ones. So we're going to go ahead and start this process. And let's go ahead and see real quick. Let me erase this. Alright. So now our first direction is going to go ahead and draw a place value chart. So you'll see the place value chart right here that we're going to go ahead and draw right here because we have hundreds, tens, and ones, and then we're subtracting hundreds, tens, and ones, okay? So when we go ahead and we draw the place value chart, it's going to go ahead and be like this, just like I showed you a second ago. It's going to be hundreds, tens, and ones. Does anybody have any questions about that? Everybody got it? We'll walk around just to double check. All right, good. So now we're going to need to put the numbers in their place value. So it'd be 5, 7, 3. So what we're going to draw is 5 flats because it's 500 and each one stands for 100. So it's going to be a total of 5. So we're going to go ahead and draw 5 flats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we need 7 tens. So 7 tens is going to be 1 rod, which is a total of 10 units. Again, 10 units is just the one. So make sure you draw 7 rods. It's going to be the long ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Everybody got that? Awesome. So let me just finish these off real quick so you understand. And then of course the rods, the flats, we're going to have so we have 5 flats, 7 rods, and 3 units. So we're going to go ahead and draw 3 more units, which is these things. Look like just cubes. Okay, so now this is a little bit more of the tricky part. So we're going to go ahead and subtract these by the second number. So the second number is 241. So since we've already drew the place value chart and drew the 10 blocks for each number, we're going to go ahead and subtract it. So we're going to subtract each number by its place value by crossing out base 10 blocks. So for instance, we have 5 right here. We need to subtract 2. So if we subtract 2, we just cross out 2 flats. Then we need to go ahead and subtract 4. So by subtracting 4, we're going to go ahead and subtract 4 rods. So 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to go ahead and subtract 1 unit because there's a 1 at the end. So 1 unit. So then, once we go ahead and we subtract, we're going to get our answer. So we have these, we circle them. So then that leads us to getting, there's 3 of these, 1, 2, 3. So we draw 3, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2. I'm sorry, actually, there's 3, my fault. It's 3, 3, 2. Y'all got it? So, because there's 3, there's 2, and then there's 2, that gives us our answer of 332. So now we're going to go ahead and do our next example. So our next example just has tens and ones. We don't have any hundreds in this one, so tens and ones only. So we're going to go ahead and first go ahead and draw our place value chart. Okay, so because we only have tens and ones, we only need 2 sides. So this is going to be our tens, this is going to be our ones. So then we're going to go ahead and draw 4 and a 5 because that's our first number. Then we're going to go ahead and draw 4 rods, which is, again, the long one. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And make sure they look like 10. And then we're going to go ahead and draw 5 ones. So 5 squares is what we're going to go ahead and draw. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So since we already drew our place value chart and drew our base 10 blocks, now we're going to go ahead and subtract each number by its place value. So in this case, the second number is the one we're going to go ahead and subtract it by, which is 31. So we're going to go ahead and subtract 3 on this side. So 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to go ahead and subtract 1 on this side. So then that gives us 1 and 4. So it equals 14. Does everybody have that written down? Okay, well let's go ahead and go to our next example then. So now again, I'm going to draw our place value. Because we only have tens and ones, there's only going to be 2 sides. So tens and ones, tens and ones. So then we're going to go ahead and write 8 and 3 so we don't get any confusion. So we're going to go ahead and draw 8 rods, correct? Yes? Awesome. So let's go ahead and draw 8 rods. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then, so we draw our 8 rods. Now we're going to go ahead and draw 3 units. So 1, 2, 3. And I'm just finishing these rods off just so y'all make sure. They're not perfect, but there's something so y'all understand. Alrighty, so now we're going to go ahead and subtract 72 from 83. So we're going to go ahead and subtract 7 from 8 because that's our tens place. So we're going to go ahead and subtract 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we're going to go ahead and subtract 2 because this, on the ones place there's a 2. So go ahead and go 1, 2. So then we're gonna circle the ones we have left, which is 1 and 1. So that equals 11. So that would be our answer on that. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, awesome. So we're gonna go ahead and get a sheet of paper out, blank sheet of paper. We're gonna write these problems down. So first one is 624 minus 512. If you need help writing that down, just let me know. 321 minus 210. And then 54 minus 12. Make sure you follow all the steps so y'all understand. If y'all have any questions within the practice problems, just let me know so that I can go ahead and help you out. I will be walking around during this lesson while y'all figure it out. Okay, so I'm going to let y'all work on it. I'll give y'all about 5 minutes. Okay, awesome. So we're going to go ahead and get these answers out. First, we're going to walk through them. I'm going to show the work, and then we'll show what the answer is at the end. Make sure everybody got them right. Again, if you have any questions, just ask. So our first one is 624 minus 512. So first one, we drew our place value chart. You see that? Then we drew them out. So we have our hundreds. And because there's 6 right here, we drew 6 flats. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we subtracted that by 5. So you see how we x'd out 5 of them, which equaled out to 1. Then in our tens place, we have a 2. So we drew 2 rods. And then you see how we subtracted 1 because there's a 1 right here. So you see how we x'd out one of them. So we have 1 right here. And then we have 4 units. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're subtracting 2 units because it's in the ones place. So we subtracted 2. So that answer is correct, 112. So now our next one is, show you the work. We have 321 subtracted by 210. So you can see how we drew 3 flats, 1, 2, 3. We drew two rods, so 1, 2 for 20. And then we went ahead and we drew 1 unit. So on this, we're subtracting 210, so you see how we crossed out 2. Then we crossed out 1, because in the tens place, we have a 1. And then we didn't subtract any from the ones place, because there's a 0. So then it equals to 111, because there's 1 in each one. So we got 111. And then on this one, we have our work. So on this case, we didn't have any hundreds on this because it was only a tens and a ones place. So I just put a 0 because there was no hundreds. Now on this side, we have 5. So we drew 5 rods. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have 4 units. So we drew 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we're subtracting 12. So I went ahead and in the tens place, we have a 1. So I subtracted 1. And then in the ones place, we had 4, but we had a 2 right here, so we subtracted 2. So in this case, it equals 4, 2. And the answer is 42. Does anybody have any questions on that again? Awesome. Okay, class, so today we actually went over subtracting base 10 blocks, and we learned about how to do subtraction with the base 10 blocks, how to draw the place value chart, and how to organize the place value charts with the numbers. Does anybody have any questions? Are you sure? Okay, awesome.